Hey, Magic friends, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Captain Clyde's MTG. Today we're going to do a little story. We're doing a lot of box value stuff, and I've had a few questions from my friends and other talking points as we sit around the campfire, so forth. But before we get started about that, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, put some comments down below. It helps feed that YouTube algorithm as we head to 1,000 subscribers. Appreciate anything you can do for me in support of the channel. Now, what it was we were talking about is, I've been doing these box videos on the value of different boxes and packs and how the price of cards are going up. How when they first come out they go down, then they go up. And the conversation came up, well, Clyde, what do you think it really means in the grand scheme of things? I.e., Wizards of the Coast no longer does tournaments, so therefore the cards aren't worth anything because nobody's doing tournaments, nobody's playing it, yada yada yada. What does that mean long term for the game? And what kind of effect could it even have on the game long term? Is it what's causing prices to go down? And if so, does that mean it's something that will sustain or be stable or crash the market in the long term and we're just, flushing money down the toilet? So all these are real good questions. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think that Wizards now not being in the actual arena of putting on actual events, I think will be a good thing because there's a lot of stuff in the events that they used to do that were cool. Don't get me wrong. There was the Pro Tour and there was all these other things that were really cool and sweet and so forth and so on. But again, in the grand scheme of things, it took money away from the company and what they did, how they did it. Now, does that mean they're going to give us more for less? No, it doesn't. But what it does mean, though, is it opens up a whole new realm um, of what can be done for these products just in general. So, for example, a thing I'd like to mention, always remember, guys, that um, with the downfall of Wizards running events in general, people have always been like, oh, it's going to be the death of Magic and the yada yada yada. And there's an argument for that in one way, shape, or form. But as we seen during the pandemic, the events went away. They just didn't happen. And we know they didn't happen. And Wizards know they didn't happen, which is why Wizards basically at the end stopped doing them. Because what they realized was the events were not necessary for the longevity of the game. Um, it saved them money by not running events. They didn't have to run events. It upped their profit margins and so forth and so on, along with other things. And probably the biggest takeaway from that, to be honest with you, um, is really just a simple fact that we don't need Wizards of the Coast to run our games. Um, and why is that good? Well, so most of the games or events that were already ran by people like Channel Fireball, Star City Games, so forth and so on, to a much better extent than Wizards themselves would run their own events. And that's fine. The great thing about it is that now they're out of the picture. Uh, the big thing is Wizards are doing like they're always doing. They're doing the format, they're doing this, they're doing that. They're justifying what the format is, how the format's played, but they're not actually interacting. So the events themselves become something even bigger and better than what they were before. So that leads to a lot better things. Like before, you guys noticed like there was lots of stuff just in general going around um, as far as what formats people wanted to play and what formats people could play because most wizards were do sealed, standard, modern. They did legacy for a while. They stopped doing that. Well, now that that's not a thing anymore, these events can be run by your local local shops and even bigger shops like Channel Fireballs are putting theirs back on again. SCG has started back theirs back up again. Nerd Rage Gaming, I think, are going to start theirs back up. They haven't already. Um, they can now dictate those formats that people aren't getting a chance to play normally, that Wizards didn't want to invest time, money, or kept wanting to tell everybody that, oh, there's not enough support, we can't play that format. You know, like Pauper, like Pioneer, like Legacy. And with that, these events can be ran at the local level, meaning those events can be, hey, you're allowed to have proxies, for example. Now, I'm not saying you got to run a whole proxy deck, but if you wanted to play a Legacy event and you wanted a certain amount of proxies, then you could do that. And the good thing about that is having those older events like Modern, like Pioneer, like Legacy, um, or anything of those older formats like that is going to keep the card values high and keep those cards going up in price and actually making them worth having. Which is why the box value and the card value of all this stuff is going to keep going up. Um, Not so much because of you know the fact that Wizards is making them, but the fact that there will be an environment where they'll be needed and people will want to use them, and that's the great thing. With that said, there's also many other things that can be done outside of that as well to help feed that kind of format. Excuse me. Um, or get those things that you want so that you don't have to worry about, do I have enough of this card? Do I have enough of that card? So forth and so on. Um, but for when we don't do those things, for example, that's when it's really going to start shining, because let's say the legacy format limits you to 4 proxies. You still have to buy the other cards, which means you have to buy at least some of them. Um, right, wrong, or indifferent, it's still a thing, right? So it will drive the cost of these cards up, not so much in standard, but the older formats that will be played and made will help drive all that. And the best thing about that, not only does it drive the card price, card demand, so forth and so on up, it will also make way to keep those prices going up. And if you guys haven't touched on it yet, so I figure I'll go ahead and I'll say it now. Commander. Commander drove so much price value um, of the cards in the set over the course of what we've been seeing through all these different times, that it's honestly really incredible. I mean, it probably single-handedly um, saved the Magic format over the pandemic. Now, some people want to argue, blah blah blah, Arena this, Arena that. So, yeah, Arena helped, but honestly, Arena's awful. Um, their algorithm for running their game is awful. I know you're watching me play it right now. This is basically because I'm making a video. I need some background space and maybe something you guys might want to actually see for a change, instead of just some still pictures. But with that said, probably the greatest thing about all of it is that the cards themselves will never go down in value. This is a collector's market where not only us small-time geeks or nerds who are actually doing these things are part of it, but at the same time, we're getting things. Um, for example, uh, like Post Malone, for example, is doing his own thing. Uh, and all these other, Henry Cavill's a big geek. He doesn't play Magic, but he plays other card games. And the point being there is now there is a thing that shows that these are valuable. And with those other high celebrity cards and with YouTube and everything else making them valuable, people want to see them, and showing people paying high prices for these cards, it really means that uh, all of these cards, one form or another, are just going to be worth money. And people are going to see that they're worth money. It's going to drive the price up. It's going to nostalgia, the whole 9 yards. It's just going to be a thing, and that's all there is to it. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I do think it's a good thing. And with that said, uh, I believe the price of Magic cards will continue to go up. The game itself will flourish in several different ways, shapes, and forms. Now, will it be a little longer than before, or a little more than before sometimes? No, maybe. It may take a little longer on some products, less on others. And that's fine, to be honest with you. There's nothing wrong with that. But the only thing that it means is it's not going to be the, hey, look, we've got money pouring out our ears so we can do whatever we want. Uh, Back in the day when we had boxes flipping 100% profit in a matter of a month, or even less than a month sometimes when they just first came out, which was honestly kind of crazy. But it's just a whole new world, guys. I don't think Magic's going anywhere. I don't think the card game's going anywhere. And with local tournaments running their own thing, and without us having to do any kind of grinding or whatever to get to those big tournaments anymore, I think it's really going to open up some positive things for the game as a whole. And I really look forward to seeing what's coming in the future. And don't forget, guys, moving forward, I'm going to do a lot more box value videos along with my news to kind of show you what the old boxes are doing, if you invested, what you would have got, why it went up, why it went down, and revisit those past things so we can learn from them and try to see if we see those same things in the future from the current products we have coming out. So don't forget, guys, until next time, be kind. And this is your captain speaking, and I hope to see you across from the game table.